You're about to blame someone you love for something their nervous system did automatically. This isn't relationship advice. It's a silent battle in your own mind. If you don't understand this bias, you will slowly turn small inconveniences into character assassinations, and you'll feel completely justified while doing it. There's a split-second mental move your brain makes during conflict. It feels logical, it feels fair, it's neither. Once you see it, you'll catch it in every argument you've ever had. And if you miss it, you'll keep building resentment over stories that were never true. Let's take a closer look at the lens that's been distorting your relationship. Okay, your partner's late again, and your gut, it's screaming, they don't care. But hold on, could it just be traffic? Or maybe their boss dumped a last-minute crisis on them? That split-second assumption, that's the fundamental attribution error. Notice where your brain bolts first. You don't wonder about the red lights piling up. You don't think about the email that just blew up their inbox. Nah, you go straight to them. You tell yourself they're disorganized, selfish, lazy. A tiny hiccup becomes proof they're a fundamentally flawed person. But here's the messy truth your brain hides. When you're late, never your fault. It's the traffic jam, the barista's slow, the universe itself is out to get you. When you slip up, it's the situation. When they do, it's their character. That's the trap. And right now, it's quietly eating away at your relationship from the inside. Most people never spot this pattern. They spend years thinking they're totally objective, like their anger is 100% justified. But you're not seeing reality. You're running an old-school mental script designed to protect your ego. Even if it wrecks your connection, think back to your last fight. Did you argue about the thing they messed up? Or did you fight over what that meant about who they are? Did you call out the action or attack their soul? This bias is the silent wedge tearing couples apart. It turns you into the misunderstood hero while painting them as the villain. Bad moments become bad people, and it keeps going. Over the next few minutes, we'll crack open the machinery behind this lie. We'll tackle the optimism bias, the trick that makes you blind to your own risks while blowing up your partner's. We'll expose the omission bias that tricks you into thinking doing nothing is safer than making a move. And we'll reveal how the decoy effect messes with your choices without you even noticing. You're about to see the hidden architecture of your own resentment. This isn't about being nicer. It's about seeing clearly. Your brain's feeding you a story about the person you love, one that feels good now, but kills intimacy later. You've got a choice. Keep believing the lie, or look at the lens itself. Once you see this pattern, you can't unsee it. Let's get real about how this trap works. Your partner leaves dishes in the sink. Again. Watch where your mind races. You don't just think, dishes left. You jump to, they're lazy. They don't respect me. You build a whole story about who they are. Now, flip it. You leave dishes in the sink. Why? Because work was brutal. The phone rang. You meant to clean up, but life exploded. See the gap? When they do it, character flaw. When you do it, life happened. That gap has a name. Yes, it is the fundamental attribution error. It's the most corrosive pattern in relationships. Here's the technical bit. Your brain picks between two types of blame. Dispositional blame targets the person. They're late because they're selfish. Situational reality looks at context. They're late because traffic ate them alive. The error isn't judging, it's the double standard. You judge others by their actions, but yourself by your intentions. You know your heart's in the right place. You're not messy, you're swamped. You hear your own inner monologue, so you cut yourself slack, but you don't hear theirs. All you see is their behavior. And when it inconveniences you, your brain takes the lazy way out. They're broken. This kills intimacy. Slowly, your partner stops being a good person having a rough time. They become a bad person making your life hard. And once you define them by flaws, not circumstances, you stop solving problems. You start fighting a war against their character. Here's where it gets dangerous. You're not just misreading them, you're training yourself to hate them. Picture this. In almost every long-term relationship, one's the engine, the other the brakes. You come home buzzing with an idea, maybe a career shift, an investment, a house renovation. You're fired up, you see the future. But watch their face. No smile, just a furrowed brow. Before you finish talking, they hit you with, "How much will this cost?" Or, "What if it blows up?" In that split second, the fundamental attribution error hijacks you. You don't see a partner assessing risk. You see a flaw. They're negative, joyless, a dream killer. But flip the script. What do they see? They don't see a visionary. They see chaos. To someone wired for safety, your optimism looks like recklessness. They're not trying to hurt you. They're terrified you'll crash the car. They feel like the only adult in the room. This bias turns a difference in wiring into a moral failing. You're not fighting about the renovation. You're at war with their biology. And the cost? You stop sharing. Next time you have an idea, you keep it to yourself. You start living parallel lives. You stop collaborating because arguing feels pointless. They stop listening because they're tired of being the villain for wanting stability. The fundamental attribution error whispers you're incompatible. But really, you've just got different survival settings, and you're punishing each other for it. Take a breath. Step back from the heat. You feel their hesitation like a personal attack. But here's the truth. That clash between risk-taker and risk manager, it's not a choice, it's biology. One nervous system scans for opportunity, dopamine flooding in at new. The other scans for threats, prioritizing safety. Ancient survival tools. Back in the tribe, you needed both, the scout to find new ground, the guard to avoid traps. But this bias hides the biology. It frames it as a moral flaw. Think back to your last big pitch, career change, investment, move. When they asked tough questions, they were guarding your shared future. But you heard, "They don't believe in me." The bias kicked in. You labelled them negative, unsupportive. Do you see the shift? You turned a biological safety check into a relational defect. And it goes both ways. If you're the cautious one, you see recklessness where others see vision. You call them immature or impulsive. This is how the bias weaponizes diversity. In a healthy dynamic, the optimist pushes gas, the pessimist checks brakes. You need both to drive. One gets you somewhere, the other keeps you from the cliff. But under the fundamental attribution error, you treat the brake pedal like the enemy. You stop seeing a partner who processes risk differently. You see a flaw that needs fixing. And here's the tragedy. You're not fighting about money or houses. You're attacking each other's nervous systems. You demand they rewire their brain to match yours. And when they can't, you call it a character flaw. That's not just unfair, it's destructive. Let's pause, breathe. We've covered how this pattern damages things, the fights, the distance, and if you're honest, you might feel a heavy weight. Am I just judgmental? But you're not. You're fighting biology. Your brain's a calorie hog, 20% of your energy for just 2% of your weight. It's number one rule, conserve energy. That's where the fundamental attribution error roots itself. It's not a flaw, it's an efficiency hack. To truly get why your partner left dishes in the sink, your brain would need to simulate their commute, stress, sleep, blood sugar. That takes data you don't have. It burns glucose, it's expensive. Labeling them, super cheap. Lazy. Inconsiderate. Done in a flash. Your brain loves this. Speed over accuracy. For most of human history, speed was survival. 10,000 years ago, seeing movement in tall grass. You didn't pause to wonder if the stranger was stressed. You judged fast. Safe or dangerous. Hesitate. You died. We're descended from the snap judges. But here's the tragedy. You're running ancient survival software in a safe kitchen. You're treating a forgotten text like a tribal threat. Your brain prioritizes speed when you need nuance. It's trying to keep you safe by making you blind, and it gets manipulated easily. Picture booking a trip, Paris versus Rome, deadlock. Then, bam, option C appears. Rome, same price, but worse. No breakfast, bad view. Seems useless, right? Who'd pick it? But something weird happens. Suddenly, the original Rome package feels like a steal. It's not just Rome, it's Rome, but way better than that Rome. Paris, no comparison. It's floating alone, but Rome's got a clear winner, loser. Easy choice. Your partner points to Rome. We have to book this, it's obvious. And you feel irritation. They're shallow. Ignoring my Paris dream for a free croissant. You label them unsophisticated, stubborn. But they're not being difficult. They're human. This is the decoy effect. That third option, never meant to be picked. It's a trick to rig the game. They fell for a cognitive illusion, a trap built for everyone. But the fundamental attribution error makes you see a partner who disrespects you. You turn a marketing ploy into a marriage problem. This leads to the quietest killer, omission bias. The idea that doing harm is worse than allowing harm. Think back to when you hurt them by not acting, forgot a call, skipped dishes, missed a reservation. In your mind, you're innocent. I didn't do anything. You view it as passive, a non-event. You think, I didn't mean to hurt them, so you're off the hook. But your partner sees it differently. To them, your silence is an action. When you forget, they don't see a busy schedule. They see selfishness. The omission bias shields your ego, while the attribution error arms their resentment. You say, I didn't do anything. Technically true, but they're reacting to a void and filling it with the worst assumptions about you. Silence isn't neutral. In relationships, there's no neutral gear. Every moment you're not engaging, you're signaling something, and their brain reads it as a threat. Let's test this with the glacier dilemma. Imagine a man on a glacier. Scenario 1, you push him in, he dies. Scenario 2, he slips. You could grab his hand, but you don't. He dies. Which version of you is the monster? Viscerally, you recoil from pushing. That feels evil, but not helping. Feels like a tragedy, an accident, but the outcome's identical. This is where it wrecks relationships. You run this math daily. When your partner yells, visible action. You label it aggressive and mean. But when you withdraw, inaction. You excuse it. I was tired. You're the person on the glacier watching them slip, doing nothing, then calling them crazy for screaming as they fall. You excuse your passivity while prosecuting their actions. You keep a scorecard of their active mistakes, but ignore the damage of your silence. It makes you feel like the victim, even when your quiet is the weapon. This isn't about one mistake. It's about the slow drip of resentment. Like water on stone, millions of drops carve a canyon. Every time you call them selfish or lazy, you add a drop. You reinforce the neural pathway. Soon, you stop seeing a human. You see a caricature, the lazy person or the cruel one. You strip them of context, of humanity. You replace them with a villain that fits your story, and the stakes escalate fast, from dishes to respect, from respect to love, then to your entire future. Nothing will ever change. I'm trapped. Once this calcifies, it's nearly unbreakable. Your brain fights to keep the avatar alive. If they're kind, you dismiss it as manipulation. If they try, you don't even see it. Relationships don't die with a bang. They erode slowly. You end up fighting a ghost, a version of your partner that only lives in your head, while the real person stands unseen. But sometimes, the behavior is the problem, and you need to know the difference. Stop here. This logic has a trap for empathetic people. If I understand the situation enough, I can excuse anything. That's dangerous. This cognitive error we all have explains rushed judgment. It doesn't mean your judgment is always wrong. Sometimes people show you who they are. Here's the line. If they snap at work deadlines, likely situational, attribution error. If they belittle you on a relaxing vacation, no context. That's character. Don't use psychology to gaslight yourself. If this situation causing bad behavior never ends, it's a choice. If the context is them ignoring boundaries, that's not an error. It's reality. The goal isn't to tolerate abuse. It's to fight the right battles, to see true character past daily stress. If you give constant benefit of the doubt and nothing changes, the error is yours. Watch the baseline. When the storm passes, do they return to kindness, or is the storm just their atmosphere? Understanding this bias stops you from condemning a good person for a bad day, but it should never stop you from seeing a toxic pattern. So, how do you tell the difference mid-argument? It hinges on stress and the accelerants that make this bias explode. Remember the optimist-pessimist dynamic? Before, you saw a character flaw. If you're the dreamer, you saw a dream killer. But with a new lens, you're seeing a protective cognitive style. When they point out risks in your business idea, they're not trying to hurt you. They're scanning for threats you're missing. Calling them negative is the attribution error hijacking you. Flip it. If you're the realist, the dreamer's reckless, but their brain's scanning for possibility, the engine that pulls you out of stagnation. You're not enemies. You're gas and brakes arguing which is more important to the car. You need both. This isn't patience waiting for them to stop annoying you. It's cognitive empathy, seeing the machinery behind the behavior. It changes how you fight. Instead of, you always shoot me down, try, I need your eyes on risks, but let me finish the idea first. Instead of, you never think things through, say, I love the vision. Let's build the structure to make it real. You stop attacking the person. You start leveraging the difference. But exhaustion, it's the fuel for this bias. Empathy takes energy. Judgment is cheap. When you're drained, 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, after traffic and 100 decisions, your brain defaults to the lazy explanation. They left lights on because they're careless. Not, they were rushing a crisis. This is where halt hits hard. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. These aren't just feelings. They're red flags for your perception. When you're tired, your brain can't access patience. You're operating with a broken processor. Modern life is fast-paced. Notifications, deadlines, noise. They keep your nervous system primed for threat. You stop seeing your partner as human. You see them as another problem to manage. This isn't because you're a bad partner. It's biology. Recognize this. When stress is high, your ability to judge accurately hits zero. Argue when exhausted. You'll find flaws that aren't there. You'll diagnose malice where there's only fatigue. And if you don't catch this, you'll burn down your relationship because you are too tired to see the truth. You feel anger rising. The judgment's formed. You're about to attack their character. Stop in that split second between trigger and reaction. That's where your relationship lives or dies. You need the situational pause, not deep breaths, not counting to 10, forcing your brain to do what it hates. Look at context. Rule, before judging their character, such as lazy or unselfish, list 3 boring logistical reasons why it happened. Scenario, they didn't call, said 6 p.m, it's 6:30. Your brain screams, they don't respect you. Force the pause. 3 factors, battery died, stuck in a dead zone. Boss trapped them in a meeting. You didn't prove these are true. You proved the story in your head isn't the only option. You shifted from, why are they like this, to, what's happening around them? This isn't excusing bad behavior, it's about accuracy. If they are selfish, the pattern persists despite traffic. But if you attack their character over a flat tire, you create a wound an apology can't fix. You're training your mind to see the stage, not just the actor. But pausing isn't enough. You need a circuit breaker, the why technique. When annoyance hits, ask, why would a reasonable, loving person act this way? Notice the assumption, reasonable and loving. You force your brain to hunt for context, not flaws. Suddenly, the meaning shifts. Dishes left not because they disrespect you, but because they're shattered after a 10-hour shift. You're not fighting a villain, you're navigating a situation. This introduces the third option, the context, the invisible enemy you fight together. Instead of attacking them for being late, attack the traffic. Your challenge: next time annoyance flares, freeze. Don't speak, don't roll your eyes, catch the label, selfish, careless, stamped on their forehead, rip it off, replace it with, what's happening around them right now? You won't catch it every time. The bias is fast, ancient, but you don't need perfection, just awareness. The moment you pause to ask why, the error loses its grip. You stop reacting to a hallucination, you start responding to reality. That pause, it's the difference between a fight that ruins your night and a conversation that builds trust. Imagine life without this bias. The tension drops. It's not just quiet, it's safe. You stop walking on eggshells because you know your partner isn't gathering evidence against your soul. When you're late or short-tempered, they see the context, not your character. They see traffic, deadlines, exhaustion, not selfishness, and you do the same for them. The optimist-pessimist dynamic shifts. The optimist sees the pessimist as necessary, spotting risks they'd miss. The pessimist sees the optimist as necessary, pushing them past fear. You stop trying to fix each other. You leverage the differences. You stop keeping score for missed texts or dishes. You start seeing invisible efforts, restraint during arguments, showing up exhausted. You move from defense to proactive kindness. This is rare. Most couples never get here. They spend decades prosecuting each other for crimes never committed, but you know better now. Safety isn't about avoiding fights. It's knowing that in a fight, the person across from you still respects who you are. They're not rewriting your history over one bad moment. They're holding space for your context. That's how trust actually lasts. You're sitting there now with a heavy realization. Seeing this bias, it's visceral. You're replaying fights from years ago, the cold shoulder from yesterday. You see how often you got the cause wrong. This might feel like guilt, but don't. Don't turn this into self-judgment. That's just the bias turned inward. The goal wasn't to make you feel like a failure. It was to give you sight. Until now, you reacted to a story your brain invented, a story where your partner was lazy, selfish, uncaring. Now you know that story was a shortcut, a mental energy saver. This awareness is a gift, a heavy one. You can't unsee the machinery now. Next time they snap, you'll see stress, context, exhaustion. You'll stop asking, what's wrong with them? And start asking, what's happening to them? That shift changes everything. It doesn't mean no boundaries. It doesn't mean bad behavior is okay. It means you finally have the right map. You're not fighting a villain. You're solving a problem with a teammate who's struggling too. You'll slip up. You'll get tired. Your brain will snap back to judgment. You'll accuse, blame. It's inevitable. You're human. But here's the difference. Before, you lived in that judgment. Now, you'll catch yourself. Maybe not in the moment, maybe an hour later, but you'll pause. In that pause, you have a choice you never had. Ask a question instead of making a declaration. Choose curiosity over condemnation. Choose to look at the glacier beneath the water. That choice, it's what separates a relationship that breaks from one that deepens. You have the tools, you see the pattern, the blindfolds off, and that quiet awareness, that's where everything begins to change. But hey, before you go, pause for 1 second. Think of one moment today where you caught yourself about to label someone. What was the third option you missed? Drop your story in the comments. Your relationship will thank you.